I have returned, a little freshened up. I have a cat with me as well. You can all see the true master of the house here. Her name is Sophie. We are going to make one more character this evening before we get a little bit into storytelling. I have a blank character sheet again, and we're going to go through the same process as we did for Euphemia. Let's reset our dice rolls. Hi, Sophie. Yeah, you're lovely. Thank you for joining us. Race is a D10. Is a 2. Okay. And then sub-race, we're going to roll again. Even. So race 2 and sub-race 2 for it. 1 and 2. And sub-race 2, we're going to have a wood elf. Gender and multi-class is a percentile. 12. This is another female. Alignment are going to be 2 percentile rolls. 27 and 34. Good. Neutral good. That doesn't stand for no good. Level is a D100. 95. Ooh. Ooh. We're going to get to create a higher level character because a 95 is a level 17 something. We'll see. Oh, this is going to be fun, and this will take a little bit longer than an hour. So sit back, and we're gonna have some fun with this. Level. Is she a character that uses feats? 97. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, we're going to get the whole package with her here. We got a 97 on that. That's 3 if possible. All right, let's make a quick note. 3 feats if possible. It should be possible while still keeping her a relevant whatever class we end up rolling, which should be coming out, yes, a D12. A 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 is a rogue. And a D3 archetype. 1. Thief. And a wood elf. Yeah. This is more testament to both just being able to trust the die, and the fact that the 5e system can allow for some really interesting things. Combinations of varied effectiveness, or just the way that you can take seemingly obscure chances or one weird concept and the other, and then they just sort of pineapple pen into one greater idea. Alrighty. We have things like her height and weight that we can fill in as well. Wood elves start at 4'6", and then they can grow a little taller, so we're going to roll 2d10. Plus 9 inches. All right. So she's 5'3". And we're going to take that same number and multiply that times 1d4 pounds times 1. So she's going to be 109 pounds. You know what, while we're down here, let's do age as well real quick. Let's get the percentile out. 3. Ho ho. Wow. You want to talk about a super interesting character. Oh, you know what? Let's pause that a second. I have a phone call coming in. One moment. Oh, hey, thank you for coming along. I will be right back. I have a phone call I have to take. Just stick with me. Hey, all right. Sorry about that. I needed to make sure it wasn't an emergency. Everything's fine. But thank you, Bobo 5240 for joining. We are doing a random character creation, and she's turning out to be very interesting. For her age, we just rolled the very slim chance that she's a child prodigy. Now, for a wood elf, I mean, that a child doesn't mean she's doing this at 9 years old necessarily. Because an elf's cultural and intellectual adulthood begins at age 100. So if we go back a little ways, let's do 100 minus the 20 years. Actually, you know what? Let's do minus 25. We're going to do the custom dice roller on here. Whoops. Minus 19. So she is a prodigy. Remember, this is in elven cultural terms at 81. She's at the end of almost at the end of a normal human life, normally. So for whatever reason, and we can always fill in backstory, she struck out early, and she's been very effective at what she does. Okay, let's go back up. We have her background, which is going to be another custom die. A D13. Let's roll for it. An 8. Let's put a little note right here. Oh, up here at the top, by the way, thank you for lurking. Lurking is just fine. A lot of this is narration, explanation, theory crafting, and having fun. In the random dice rolls off of my my chart here, she is a level 17 rogue, going for the thief archetype. Now let's scroll down and check out which random background she is getting. And I'd like to think that I know what I'm talking about. I've been running D&D for a while. Since, oh geez. I've been playing since 2000, I want to say. And I've been DMing a constant campaign world for 12 years now, I want to say. Something along those lines. And, you know, we've moved through the editions. I've done and seen a lot, and in this stream, you are welcome to share your own ideas, your own theories and stories. And in fact, since you're a part of the stream now and we're having a conversation, your input can go into this character as well. Things like what weapon could we theoretically say she's using as we further define her? She's going to need a name, hair color, other story bits like that too. No, what I'm doing here is not for the world that I'm running. This is it is a world that I will create on stream that I can then interact with viewers who come in, and we can go through and form a party, or we can make story elements by taking these random characters that I'm generating a couple every time we stream, and we're going to populate a world with them, and we're going to take their stories and weave them into a narrative over time. That way if you ever have writer's block about a character or a story arc, maybe we could help kind of bust through that and take care of your own campaign or your own character, or just inspire you to write or paint or do anything you'd want with this. I went way too far. That paladin wizard, keep on going. Oh, you know what? I am being a little bit of a derp because I have the backgrounds right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is going to be either a noble or a knight variant. Knights don't have to always be the shining armor, full plate on a white steed. You have Batman, who's the Dark Knight, and is a rogue character, a roguish character anyway. We're going to go down and start by filling in the background information first, because that's going to give us skills, and that's going to give us some things, so that when we come back to the race and the class, it's going to make our decisions for this random character a little bit easier. That way we're not redundantly taking 2 skills. Acolyte. Dun, 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 dun. Not quite at Trinkets yet. That'll be one of the last things that we do, because Trinkets are awesome for storytelling. Weapons, we'll get there. Here we go. Soldier, sailor, sage, outlander, noble. Oh, that sounds awesome. I played a little bit about 10 years ago, and now I'm trying to get back into it, but too hard to find groups where I live and work. Oh, okay. Have you considered, there's some virtual tabletop platforms. For instance, Roll20 is one of them. You can use their forums to find groups to play in or to run for, and it also allows you to team up with other people, and through a microphone or webcam, neither, and you can just be silent and move your token around. You can play in a virtual tabletop with other people as your group deems is convenient. Let's see. Variant Noble Knight. A knighthood is among the lowest noble titles in most societies, but it can be a path to higher status. If you wish to be a knight, choose the retainers feature instead of the position of privilege feature. One of your commoner retainers is placed by a noble who serves as your squire, aiding you in exchange for training. That could be interesting, but maybe going straight up noble for her. You understand wealth, power, and privilege. You carry out a noble title and your family owns land. Well, yeah, I had a few one-shots on Roll20, but when Do you, you're at sea. Like Merchant Marine, or are you, do you do, like cargo, or are you a guard against pirates on, like, oil tankers or something? Or what do you end up doing at sea? We're going to go noble for her background. This is going to give us... Oh, Wessel. Very good. I like the reference. You know, I've seen some videos on YouTube about people who are protecting oil rigs, especially when you're like going around Africa or through some other dangerous waters by the Indian Ocean, I believe. And that stuff can get pretty intense. We are going to get history and persuasion from our noble background. We are going to get a tool proficiency of a gaming set. And we can have this be... We're at the north... okay. Well, still, you know, it needs protection because anything can happen, especially in today's world. Being someone who drives a car, I appreciate what you do because you help me do what I do in return. And so the cycle is complete, because now that you're off, I can give you a little bit of entertainment. Ah, yeah. Um, I have a few friends who went to the Dakotas for the big oil and natural gas boom that they have there, and I've heard interesting distress stories about what people do on on the rigs. Gaming set. I'm gonna go Dragon Chess. Even if that's not a thing, it's your world. I mean, heck, look, I'm wearing a Bob Ross shirt. This is your world. You can have a happy little game. You can have a happy little dagger, a happy little dragon. It's up to you. Languages, we get one of our choice. I'll clean this up later. I'm making kind of quick and dirty notes. For being an elf, we're going to start with Common and Elven. And I'm going to leave this blank, because as we develop her story a little bit more, it'll help us define which language she knows in addition. Possessions. Fine clothes. Signet ring, which, hey, signet ring. Scroll of pedigree, for when you need to show where your branch of the family tree is in order to command someone or something. And a purse that has 25 gold pieces in it. Cool. Now we're going to roll twice for her personality traits. And this is also why I'm keeping some things blank. This is going to be a D8. 4 and a 2. Her first one, I take great pains to always look my best and follow the latest fashions. As a rogue, this could be very interesting. Maybe she's the type who has that flourish to her. And the other one was a 2. Common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. Okay, so now we're fleshing her out, and she sounds a little bit like a Zorro, maybe like a Robin Hood type. There's some others that I can, if I thought hard enough on it, would come to mind. But yeah, charisma. I think she's going to be a face character instead of necessarily the intellectual type bard or rogue. Although that line is kind of blurry at times. All right, she gets an ideal, which is going to be a 6. The noble obligation, or the noblesse oblige. It is my duty to protect and care for the people beneath me. And once I stop ham-fisting this, there we go. Now she shares a bond with someone or something, and that bond is going to be number 2. My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. Oh, yeah, it could be used for swindling as well. And intimidation. You can have a pretty face, but it adds a little extra to the intimidation factor when she's got you by your collar and, kind of do that whole Batman, where is she? Hopefully her voice isn't that husky, but I don't know. Sounds like she has a cold in that case. And because none of us are perfect, she gets a flaw. Let's see what it is. A 5. In fact, the world does revolve around me. Oh, all sorts of things are coming to mind now. That kind of cat burglar, but leaves a calling card, you know, a literal one, or leaves a rose, or leaves a drawing of something. Oh boy, we're gonna have a ton of. Oh, this is gonna be great. Whoo boy. All right, that is her background. Let's go back up now, and characters starting on an array get a 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Being a rogue, it is going to be important to keep her dexterity up for both offensive and defensive reasons. So while she's ultimately, we're going to level her to level 17, we got to build her as a level 1 first, and then we'll add layers on top of that. So let's plop the 15 down in there. And as you said, Bobo, we should make her a face type rogue. Yeah, intimidation would work because from RP would be choking a pretty girl all of a sudden turn. Yeah. Yeah, the tables can turn quickly in that case. Charisma is not going to be a dump stat for her. We're going to plop a 14 in there. Being a rogue, it's important to be able to be perceptive and look around you. I am going to argue that we drop the 13 in wisdom because that will not only help with perception, but insight. And if her flaw is to be so conceited that she needs to make sure the world is revolving around her, she needs to be able to detect that. Are people just, feeding her lines? Are they being disingenuous with her? 13, 12. How much of a glass cannon do we make her in this case? Constitution's always, you can always use more hit points. But do we want to give her a little bit more strength so she can be slightly better at things like animal handling? Or not animal handling, athletics, or if she needs to move or haul something? Or do we give her a couple more hit points? What do you think, Bobo? Would you like to see her have a little bit more strength or a little bit more con? It can depend on the party setup. In this case, she doesn't have a party, at least not yet. So we're building her, we're going to build her solo and introduce her in some future step as an NPC or as a PC and give her some friends. While you're pondering that, we're going to raise her dex score up. All right, let's give her a little bit more con, and then we'll have strength be her dump stat. That's going to be a note. She's going to get dark vision, 60 feet, speed of 30. Keen senses, you have proficiency in perception. She gets Fey ancestry. Cannot be magically put to sleep. Only needs to meditate 4 hours instead of resting 8. It's an abbreviation. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I combined the two. This is going to be trance. Cannot be magically put to sleep. Gains advantage versus charms. And she wasn't a high elf, she was a wood elf. So her wisdom is going to bop up 1. So by putting the 13 in there, she's going to get a raise to 14. She's going to get some proficiencies. Long sword. Short sword. Whoop. Actually, let's just do long and short sword and bow. Let's see. Fleet of foot. She goes up to a 35. That'll help if she needs to get away. Mask of the Wild. Not to be confused with Breath of the Wild. You can attempt to hide in lightly obscured natural areas. Cool. Now we're going to come down to Rogue and spend a little bit of time here. Cleric, Druid, Fighter. Hopefully this doesn't hurt your eyes that I'm scrolling through quickly. Monk, a Paladin, Ranger. Come on now. Here we go. All right. Hit point at first level, it's 8 plus your con mod. And you get the full 8 at first level. And her con mod's going to be 0, so it's going to be 8 at first. Ultimately, she's actually going to have 17d8 because she's level 17. She gets proficiency in light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbow, and we already have long swords and short swords from her elven heritage, so we're going to put rapier specifically as extra. Saving throws are going to be Dex and Int. And now we've filled in her skills that she gets from her race and her background. That's going to make it easy to choose what she's receiving per her class, and we're not going to be redundant. She is going to get 4 from this list. I think acrobatics is going to be important. And stealth. I chose 2. What are some skills? Because you're talking about her being a face. Do you see her being more of a deception, persuasion, intimidation? Those are some charisma-based ones that we can give her. Maybe being a noble, if she thinks she's all high and mighty, persuasion could work, but arguably deception could too. What sort of a bend would you like to see her take with her remaining 2 skills? She has acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth, all available. While you're thinking on that, I'm going to fill in a couple equipment pieces. Yeah, it's tough. She can do a lot. We have this very charismatic, noble noble backgrounded rogue. It doesn't necessarily mean she needs to pick pockets, but if she can work in the upper echelons of society, maybe deception. Yeah, I think deception would be a good one, and then she gets one more skill from the list as well. We'll mark deception. If you want to take another face ability, that would be persuasion or intimidation. Or if you want to make her a little bit more roguish, we could give her sleight of hand. So she's better at picking pockets, or even doing some things with locks, that kind of a thing. We can give her insight, so she knows a little bit better if she's being fed a line. Investigation could. She's not the best at intelligence. She has an intelligence score. So continue to give me your thoughts. We have one more skill to give her. Persuasion? Okay, no problem. Oh, it looks like persuasion is already filled in. I think we got that as part of her. She got that as part of her noble background. I'm sorry. Just as she got perception from being an elf. So really, we have intimidation, investigation, sleight of hand, or insight. Those seem to be the big ones that are left. Investigation. Okay, yeah. Maybe she wants to dig up some dirt on some other nobles in order to, exploit or extort them or blackmail or force their hand to be a better person. Because she is a good character, but, sometimes you got to apply pressure in the right ways. We'll do investigation. Yeah, intimidation to exploit it. That's true. And maybe we can give her another skill coming up. For her level 1 skills, we're full right now, but with the random rolling, we determine that she's a character who's going to use up to 3 feats if possible, and one of those could be extra skill training. So we filled in. I'm not going to worry about the details of sneak attack, because right now we're not rolling attacks with her. I'm going to list that she has it, and eventually I'm going to get some sort of like an open Dropbox where you or any other viewers can come in, and if you want to just grab the PDF and play around with that character, you can do so. You can refine the notes, but I'm more or less just listing the things that she has, and you can reference back to the PHB, or the Pahubba as I call it, for the details. Let's see, we gave her Thieves' Cant and Sneak Attack. She does get Cunning Action. We're going to give her 1, 2, 3, 4. Where she's going to get 5 ability score improvements, and of those 5, 3 are going to end up being feats. Well, yeah, I know that we can do other things than feats. Though, to be true to myself, in the random character generation, I rolled very high. I think I gave a 5 or 4% chance that someone could have 3 feats if possible, and I actually ended up rolling that for this character. So 2 are going to be stat bumps, and then the rest are going to be feats. Fortunately, in 5th edition, your natural ability to your natural abilities are capped at 20. Magic items can take you above that, but really, if you bump up a skill naturally to 20, you can't get any better without magical means. So we can still get her dex maxed out, and we can even plop a point into something else. And feats allow for some interesting super specialization. You'll see when we get to that point. Cunning action, again, I'm just making a note of that. Her archetype, okay, she's going to get uncanny dodge as well. And evasion. By 11th level, you've refined your chosen skills until they approach perfection. Whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a d20 roll of a 9 or lower as a 10. Ooh, that's really good. Oh, you get some good toys when you're high level. Blind sense also. So she gets, if she can hear around. So even if she couldn't see in the dark, which she can. And slippery mind. She's going to gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. We're just going to fill that in right now. She doesn't have elusive yet, and nor stroke of luck. Okay, that is what she gets. That's what all rogues get of any of the 3 archetypes. Assassin, Thief, or Arcane Trickster. Now we're going to come down specifically to what she does as a thief. Cunning action, we're going to add plus fast hands, since she gets that as part of her cunning action. She gets second story work. Then she gets supreme sneak. Use magic device. Which is nice, because while she's not an arcane trickster, she can't cast magic innately. She can then buy magical items, such as a wand with magic missiles in it, look at the enemy and go pew pew and fire magic missile. Or if she doesn't want to unlock a lock, she might be able to get a wand that has the knock spell, which you just go tap and a noise occurs and the lock automatically unlocks. That kind of a thing. She's going to be mostly bow or in the melee. She can do either. Because the rapier and the daggers are what are called finesse weapons. Those are melee weapons that allow you to use your dexterity mod to calculate your 2-hit and damage if you wish. So by her having both, it makes her versatile, and she doesn't lose the ability to hit or damage in either case. I hope that answers your question. When you're 17th level, you become adept at laying ambushes and quickly escaping danger. You can take 2 turns during the first round of any combat. You take your first turn at normal initiative and your second turn at initiative -10. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we won't worry about Assassin or Arcane Trickster. She is, without filling in the specifics of the abilities, she has her abilities. They're noted. We can always go back and reference them. All right, let's make the mental note here. She's going to take 3 feats if possible. I think that is going to... I think that is going to do it for the base stuff. Don't worry about sneak attack just yet. Leather armor is 11 plus dex mod, and we'll fill in dex mod after we put in the abilities. So now we have parts of her are base level 1, and we've taken some of her abilities out to level 17. Now we need to make her stats catch up to that. She's going to get 5 chances to increase her stats. When you hit an ability score bump, you have 2 choices. You can bump up 1 stat by 2 or 2 stats by 1. If we want her to cap out her dexterity, we're going to need to put her first bump into dexterity, making it a 19. And then her second one, before we go into 3 feats, let's put 1 point into 2, which is going to put her dexterity at 20. And then we can bump up... we can bump up her charisma to 15. That's not going to increase her modifier. At least not yet. Some feats might allow you to bump something up by 1. But in terms of raw ability increases, she's still going to be at the same bonus. 14 and 15 is a tier. 16 and 17 is a tier. What else? Everyone gets an inspiration point. Proficiency bonus. She's level 17. She's up to a +6 here. And we'll do hit points after feats, because if for some reason her constitution bumps up, let's say that she goes from a 0 to a +1, she gets to retroactively add hit points going back all of her levels. So if we bump her constitution to a 12 somehow, she's going to get an extra 17 hit points because she is a level 17. She's a level 17 rogue. In addition, while you get maximum at level 1, she is going to get the average +1, which is 5. That's how I do hit points for my characters. It makes it easy math. You don't have to worry about on a D6, a D8, or higher rolling a 1 or a 2. 5 times 16, because she got the max in the first one. So we're going to do a little bit of algebra, and I'm keeping this as a placeholder just in case she has a feat that we choose for her that will increase her hit points further. Okay, we have all that filled in. We gave her stat bumps, so now we're going to come down to feats. And this is... Oh, that would make her pretty... Yeah, it would. Though, rogues have a lot of dodgy abilities for getting out of fireballs and not taking any damage. Or this ability... you have uncanny dodge and evasion. That does stuff like give you advantage in certain points to jump out of the way of something. Instead of taking half damage, you take none. You also have a lot of combat maneuverability as a rogue, where you can disengage from an enemy for an efficient part of your turn, making you highly mobile. So you can run in, strike, and then withdraw and get out of range again. And then hopefully you have a meat shield next to you who can keep the hate on him or her. Yeah. yeah. The rolls don't always give us the favor we want. We can look at feats and see if we can toughen her up that way too. And I'll be happy to get your input on that. We're gonna be there really soon. Oop, let's do this as well. We gave her equipment, so we can roll in some extra. I'm not an overly generous DM when it comes to D&D, but I don't mind giving players what they need to start, and then giving them some fun money to either hold on to, invest in trade goods, or in this case here, we're going to be generous and give her 44 times 10 gold in addition to her starting gear. 10. So she's going to get an extra 100 gold. Okay, we got all that. Not worrying about that stuff. Well, we're not going to go through and purchase everything for her. That can be done at a later point in time. But there's a lot of cool equipment. Like, she'll probably want the rope and grappling hook and all that other stuff. Various tools. Let's see. Expenses. We'll worry about that. You know what? Let's give her a trinket of some kind as well, since that's good for storytelling. This is going to be a D100. A 29. Interesting. Trinket. A pair of old socks. So now the question is, whose socks are they? Why are they important to her, and why is she carrying them around? Something to think about. Yeah. More than that's a very good comparison, Bobo. Okay, yep, those were trinkets. Hit points and his feats. Oh, there's a decent amount of them here, and we're gonna get to choose 3. I think she should definitely have some sort of a charisma based one, like what you were talking about. Something that really makes her more deceptive, or a better face, a better talker. That's probably going to be maybe actor. Increase your charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. That would increase her bonus if we did that. You have advantage on charisma, deception, and charisma performance checks when trying to pass yourself off as a different person. One time, I killed a black dragon almost by myself from inside of its cloud of darkness with blind fighting. That was that's cool, huh? Were you all right with the blind fighting, and were you getting like, did you get lucky crits where you just slash and you're hitting vital points everywhere, or did something happen where, just at that crucial moment the darkness lifted because of an ally spell? Hardy and resilient, you gain the following benefit. Increase your con score by 1. And unfortunately, that durable is not going to do her much good. Resilient might help. Instead of going for hit points, it's going for damage avoidance. By the way, that's one of my cats, Nisa. Some of the cats will show up time to time. You imagine just shooting from inside a cloud with arrows, just crit after crit. He was just like listening and shooting. Okay, that's cool. Even from in the dark cloud, you can just imagine. You close your eyes and you're honing your ears and you're sort of tracking the sounds around you. Hi, ma'am. Can I help you? Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, boy. Tough could help. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this feat. Well, for sure, we are going to give her actor. That's too good for her being a face. Increase your charisma score by 1, so she's going to get... I don't... Do we have a feat area? Features and traits. Okay. We're going to make an area here. Actor. As such, her charisma is going to go up by 1, so we're going to put it at 16. And we're just going to have to reference back to the feat to save a little bit of space here. Until that point, I had broken 2 bows and dropped it like 100 with my rolls, so my party kind of joked about it. I'm happy you had party members that were also good at banter and making jokes. Whether it's in success or failure, that kind of stuff makes bonds, and it does... When you retell the story later, it makes it all the more satisfying because it's not just me and my character and this is what I did. This is an experience. This is something that everyone has been involved in. And you can tell it with a smile and laughter and, a nice sparkle in your eyes. Yeah. Actually, the one thing I like to role play is when I fail. At my game that I run, in order to help keep my players encouraged, is if someone has just a massive or catastrophic failure, I call them role play opportunities. I do like to think I run a tough game. However, I'm not above if a door closes, a window opens. Can you make the most of this situation? Can you, as a player and your character, struggle out of failure into triumph and do it in a way that still maintains the integrity of your character and the story? If you can do that, I, as the DM, am happy to account for that in the storytelling. Okay. Question for you here, Bobo. Since you've been, you're really engaged with me here, and you had asked it earlier if she's going to be more of a melee character or more of a ranged character. We have a couple options, and I think we should make one of her feats combat based. We can make her a crossbow expert, and that means that she can take a hand crossbow, and she can if she has a one-handed, like a sword or something in one hand, that allows her to wield the hand crossbow in the other, possibly getting 2 attacks in. And she ignores the loading quality, meaning that that'll free up a bonus action. So she's really good with crossbows. Or if we want to make her more defensive, we can make her a defensive duelist because she's going to be using finesse weapons. So she can increase her AC. It's not more hit points, but it could mean that she actually gets hit less. We can also make her a dual wielder. You master fighting with 2 weapons, gaining the following benefits. You get a +1 to 8 to your AC. You can use 2-weapon fighting, even when one-handed. You can draw or stow one-handed weapons when you would normally be able to draw or stow only one. That's kind of a bit of both, where she can go like 2 short swords, or something along those lines. Gives a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. And I believe there was another one down here. I don't know if she's necessarily a martial adept. I'm not quite feeling that from her. Sharpshooter. Attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged weapon attack rolls. Your ranged weapon attacks ignore half cover and three-quarters cover, and before you make an attack with a ranged weapon that you're proficient with, you can choose to take a -5 penalty. If the attack hits, you add +10 to the damage. Yeah, it's like a quick reload feature. Instead of having to take a part of her action to, take the bolt out, slide it in, or to replace the clip of bolts that go into a hand crossbow, or even just a normal like crank one, she can do it for free-ish. So it sounded good for her offensive feat. Because we're going to get 2 here. A witch hunter or okay, yeah, or a vampire hunter. So all right, you like her being the crossbow expert then? And now let's give her something. We've given her something for her face. We've given her something for offense. Let's give her a feat that is going to help her defense. Okay. Hmm. Dungeon Delver would be interesting, but I think we're making her more of a social rogue than a trap finding, treasure finding rogue. So that it could be useful, but it just doesn't to me feel like her character. Inspiring leader would be interesting. And this would help with her. This would be kind of another face ability. You can spend 10 minutes inspiring your companions, shoring up the resolve to fight. When you do so, choose up to 6 friendly creatures, which can include yourself, within 30 feet of you who can see or hear you and who can understand you. Each creature can gain temporary hit points equal to your level plus your charisma modifier. If she's social, she can give herself a buff and share it with other people that are helping to support her in whatever adventure they're on. Um, Linguist would be interesting because this would allow her to really rub elbows with all kinds of muckety mucks of different races. Increase your intelligence by 1. You learn 3 languages of your choice. You can ably create written ciphers. Others can't decipher your code you create unless you teach them. They succeed on okay. Lucky is all around. It's good for a lot of things because it's kind of an extra d20 that you can roll in for whatever you're doing. It's a good universal feat. Let's see. Observant, you increase your intelligence or wisdom score by 1 to a maximum of 20. If you can see a creature's mouth while it's speaking a language you understand, you can interpret what it's saying by reading its lips, and you have a +5 bonus to your passive perception and passive investigation. Oh, let's go up to lucky. You have inexplicable luck that seems to kick in at just the right moment. You have 3 luck points. Whenever you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can spend 1 luck point to roll an additional d20. You can choose to spend one of your luck points after you roll the die, but before the outcome is determined. You choose which of the d20s is used for the attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. You can also spend 1 luck point when an attack roll is made against you. Roll a d20 and then choose whether the attack uses the attacker's roll or yours. If more than one creature spends a luck point to influence the outcome of a roll, the points cancel each other out. No additional dice are rolled. You regain your expended luck points when you finish a long rest. So it is adding in an extra d20 in your favor some way. How does that sound to you? Okay. Lucky's a good universal feat. You can't really go wrong by taking it. Um, that said, observant, kind of what you're talking about, is really good for RP, and that might seem to fit into her niche of I attend social gatherings, and so maybe she tries to, look really closely to see what people are saying, and unless they're covering their mouth like this. Do you think we should go for observant? If we do that, oh, yeah, so you can see conversations and stuff. Okay, that works. That will then increase her passive perception. It also increases a passive intelligence investigation. There's not a spot directly on the character sheet for it. So again, that'll just have to be something we remember in her feats section. This will affect here. So wisdom, this is going to be a +2. So passive is 10 +2 +5, giving her... actually, there is one more thing that we can do. As a rogue, she gets something called expertise. This can have another impact. There's one more layer that we can go. At first level, choose 2 layers of your skill proficiencies or one of your skill proficiencies and a proficiency with Thieves' Tools. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses either of the chosen proficiencies. Pardon me. At 6th level, you can choose 2 more of your proficiencies in skills or with Thieves' Tools to gain this benefit. So we can get 4 skills or 3 skills and Thieves' Tools to give double proficiency to. So it's making her super, super good at using them. What would we like to give expertise to? I think the Thieves' Tools would be important. So let's say for that she's getting an automatic Thieves' Tools, but we get to choose 3 skills she's going to be super good at using. while you're noodling over that, and for anyone new who's in the chat, we're looking at 3 skills to make this rogue an expert in. It's going to double her proficiency bonus, making her really, really good at it. Making decisions like this, it can be tougher. We do have her being a face, so maybe the deception she's really good at. That seems to make sense to me. Then giving her something like she's not the best at investigation by her nature by default, but by making her an expert in it, it would make her better at being able to piece clues together to come to some sort of a deduction about someone or something. Perception, that's super handy to have a high score in. Persuasion as well. She can really, bat her eyelids and, give a little wink and be able to get her way. Don't let my filling in the numbers here affect the decision for what we're going to be applying expertise to. This is simply going through, and I'll modify them as necessary, but I want to keep filling in the chart while we're plotting what we want her to do. We get 3 skills that we can make her double proficient at performing. Okay, almost finished for her normal spread. And for anyone who's just joining us, we're considering 3 skills to give expertise to for this high-level rogue. Perception, persuasion, and deception? Oh, okay. So she's... so, Bobo, you're thinking she's going to super double down on being this social rogue, this person who can manipulate others, can find secrets to either blackmail, and presumably for good purposes, or to strong arm. That's not necessarily bad. If anyone else who's watching out there has a question or a comment while I'm filling these in, we'll talk about it, and we'll make a final decision and go from there. Charisma. Ooh, that's not just +3. She is normally proficient in that. She gets a +9. Intimidation, she's not the best at. She's good. She's not afraid of doing it. Performance. Persuasion. Oh, and I missed a wisdom down here. Yeah, I think that's what she was built for until now. It could be too good to spread it out a little. Well, if we want her to be able to read lips and and use her feats even better, I think putting an expertise in perception would be good. You have that. Persuasion, yeah. I mean, that's something else she's good at. And you also said deception. I don't know. I might differ and counter by saying investigation might be a good one, because once she has the clues, investigation is going to help her put the clues together in order to form a plot. As a player, asking your DM, investigation is kind of, if you've seen the Benedict Cumberbatch style, oh, hello again, Nisa. The Benedict Cumberbatch style Sherlock Holmes, or if you saw the, why am I derping on his name? Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. When they do that kind of time freezes and the clues are floating around and they're plotting out what they're doing. That's a bit what investigation is like. Yeah, she needs it. She's already good at finding. Okay. So let's do Thieves' Tools, Perception, Persuasion, and Investigation. This is going to make Investigation at a plus 13. Persuasion is going to be at plus 15. And Perception is going to be at plus 14. Which is going to give her passive wisdom to be a 24. But the feat, remember, we're still carrying that plus 5. And in fact, because we put it in investigation, Observant is going to get an extra bonus because of that too. So she's going to be almost like a detective in her own right. And if you think about it, you know, a detective is one side of the same coin as a thief, because one causes the, you know, they both are action and reaction. One's trying to break down what the other did, and the other had to plan on what he or she was going to do to begin with. Just how necromancy isn't always evil bad guy raising dead. A necromancer could also be a doctor. It could be like a murder detective trying to solve a mystery. All right, so her passive perception is just absolute bonkers. She's very good at noticing everything that's going on around her. Hi Delcorin. Welcome. We're building a character. Your input, stories, and everything is welcome. The Mind Palace. Okay, we did not bump up her con score. So we're just going to add this in. Let's do quick math. I should be able to do this, but I want to be in a hurry. So pardon me for being a scrub at arithmetic in this pinch. So her hit point total is going to be 88. And she's not in battle yet. She has 0 temp hit points currently. Let's see, all that's filled in. We're going to fill in her attack bonus and other things now. This is dex based. So this is going to be plus 11, plus 11, plus 11. 1d8 plus 5 piercing. That is 1d4 plus 5 piercing. I forget offhand if short bows are d6s or d8s. Armor and weapons. Short bows, d6 piercing. Oh, greetings. Been lurking for a few minutes. Oh, well, welcome. I hope you're enjoying your game of Subnautica, and I appreciate you lurking. I hope this channel it's good for background listening, entertainment, and as much as you want to engage with it, aside from anything else you're doing, hey, feel free to. You know what? I'm wearing a Bob Ross t-shirt. This is a world we're building. We may not be painting happy little trees, but we're making random characters. We're challenging ourselves to tell stories about this character that we're just pulling from the ether. And if you have any RP stories yourself, share them in chat. Played a couple times back in '96, so I'm pretty new to the whole character creation. Well, thank you very much. I can do a quick recap for you about what we did, and if you have any specific questions, I'll happily answer, such as how did we choose something, what does something mean. I'm patient. I've been running D&D for a very long time. I'm used to teaching new players, and I'm used to running with older, experienced players as well. All levels are welcome here. There's not a stupid question. Our initiative is +5, because that is our dex mod. Okay, I think stat-wise, she is filled out. Being a non-spellcasting rogue, we're not going to have to worry about page 3. And a lot of page 2 here, we're not going to fill in just yet. We can have a session where we go and we'll create a detailed backstory. Right now, we have a feel for the character, though there are a couple details that are still missing. In fact, oh, no, it's okay. I made a character with someone last night, first character, and now I'm being faced with coming up with a background. RP is not one of my strong points, but I hope that changes soon. You know what? We're almost done with this. If you wanted to share aspects of your character, all of us, not just me, but I'll certainly spearhead the effort. Why don't we give you an assist in helping to flesh out your character? We'll fill in these last couple details on the screen, and then I can go over her and tell you what primarily Bobo and I have been creating for this random character. That said, if anyone in the audience would like to offer some details for this elvish rogue, though she's not necessarily like the traps and backstabby rogue, she's more the social butterfly rogue. She's the face. She's the one who talks with nobility and maybe finds out their secrets or exploits things along those lines. She's kind of a Robin Hood or a what was the other example I used? Zorro. Her personality, I take great pains to always look my best and follow the latest fashions, and the common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. She has noble obligation, which you may have seen printed elsewhere as noblesse oblige. It is my duty to protect and care for the people beneath me, and she does see a lot of people beneath her as per her flaw that you can see here. And her house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. So, if it's under threat, maybe she's using her social roguish skills in order to maintain that solidarity with another family. Okay, so there are... I forgot. I personally do not use experience points. I use what are called milestones. As you progress through the story, when you reach a certain part of the story, I tell you that, hey, you can level up. Congratulations, you've done the thing that I've needed you to do. And it could take 1 session, it could take 3, it could take 5, hopefully not more than that, especially if it's a game run every week. But it's a good way to track progress. And it's less math you have to do. Okay. So, our character, we still need a name. We need one more language that she can speak. She's going around nobles. Does she talk with dwarven families? Maybe she knows Draconic, which is... I kind of run it that Draconic is Latin. It's like an old kind of dead language. Not a lot of people speak it, but a lot of current languages are based around it. Though if you have another idea, that's fine too. We need language, and then we need eye color, skin, like skin type, not just skin color, but freckled? Does she have a scar? Is it kind of ruddy? Smooth, wrinkled, something like that? And her hair, color, and type. Okay, well, the separate entries didn't quite work how I hoped, but those are the things that I still need. I just posted it over to chat. If any of you want to fill in any of those, let's make a character together. Keep in mind that, yes, she is 81 years old, and for a human, that is ancient. You're not going to be sticking around that much longer, especially in Get Ye Flask days. However, for an elf, culturally, she is still a child. Elves do not reach... all right, look. Disclaimer, it's your world. Anything can be anything. By the PHB, D&D culture, elves do not reach adulthood until year 100. So she, in some ways, is a little bit more advanced. I guess in anime terms, if any of you watch anime, she's she'd be kind of like the trifling lolly stereotype. Maybe she does that ooh ho 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 kind of a laugh. There can be. Again, this is our character. There can be on a grand, geographical or racial basis, or it could be that her clan of elves and this clan of dwarves, and maybe they had a business relationship and it soured. Or you know what? We could even say that in the midst where there's general strife between elves and dwarves, what if this other noble family is a dwarven family or a human family or a line of dragons? And she has to maintain that balance despite the animosity that exists outside of that relationship. We can take this in any direction. If we were playing and you're one of my players, it's a give and take. I'm leaving an open canvas for you to paint on. Can you support your thinking in some way? And if you can, we'll make it real. Yeah. Ooh, pardon me. I'll bring it up here. So when I was going through and compiling information out of the PHB for making random character, and Delcorin, this could help you out too. I have the whole list of rolling random traits, as well as I have a character generation, a standard character generator document. In part of that, I was going through on the ages of the races. And we have the cultural/intellectual adulthood is attained at these ages for these races. Well, all right, I'm kind of hiding it here. Hang on. Whoop. There we go. And then they are physically venerable, meaning that they are going to face a natural death at some time not too long after the numbers on the right. So elves are 750 plus years by the PHB. Again, it's your world. In fact, in my campaign world, elves a long time ago ended up making a pact to remove a curse, and in so doing, every generation that was born lived a lesser amount of time until elves got to the point where their natural lifespan, they were dying naturally around 35, 40 years old. So they ended up becoming the shortest lived of races. And the great debate was, ultimately looking back, was it worth it? Was it worth sacrificing this natural longevity to remove the curse that had befallen? It was really an individual who made a broader decision. But, you got the immediate relief, but at what long-term price did it cost? Okay, you know what, Bobo? That makes sense. Especially, if they're a friend, of course, but especially if they're an enemy, you would want to learn the language of your enemy. That way, if they're plotting something, then you are better prepared for it. All right, so Bobo, you are proposing that she knows Dwarven. Okay, so we still need a name. It could be a full, beautiful, elegant name. Maybe this is just a pseudonym she goes by. What's her calling card? You know, is she the Scarlet Bolt? Is she the the Sunset Fox? Or does she have just a common name like oh boy, I don't know. Nothing that sounds like very fancy elvish, but like a common, like, is she Madame Treefield or something like that? Oh, thank you for saying so, Bobo. A lot of when you're telling story, if you can base your story on things that are seemingly common convention, you can differentiate yourself in the "there's nothing new under the sun" umbrella by changing one facet. And if that facet then spreads throughout the world in some way and it seems consistent, that's what's important. In fact, as a part of that cultural change, Bobo, you can imagine that going from a race that lived hundreds and hundreds of years down to you're lucky to see, your mid 30s, it changed their culture. And in so doing, they name themselves after simple and useful things like acorn, seed, candle, things along those lines, because it was a way to help them realize their mortality and their usefulness. And it turned elves generally towards the practice of necromancy, but not in the evil take over the world facility, in the way that when you died, it was kind of like reverse ancestor worship, where the dead then serve the living. Because if you still died at 35 or 40, you had a body to offer, and society still needed you, especially if people are dying early. So they would honor the dead. They would go through a burial ritual, but then the body was brought back, and the body would perform tasks that were public in nature. So the bodies would preserve the roads, the bodies would build things, the bodies would till the ground, and that way the living were revered in a way kind of by the dead, or so you had service back to your community in death, meaning that your short life you could live and enjoy, and you could savor those 30 to 40 years, because then you do your work on the back end when you were brought back. I'm partial to the name Lairissia. I'm not sure what race that would fit. Oh, that's fine. Anything can be anything. It's a name I pieced together in an MMO after getting frustrated over names. Do you have a second name, a family name, or something you want to throw in there too? We will make it Lairissia. It's probably an upper class name. Lairissia is nice. Or, you know what we could even do is sort of in tribute, because it sounds a little bit, noble. How about that? Lairissia Delcorin. That sounds cool to me. Elegant, noble, elvish even. I think there's too many I's and S's, but it can be tweaked to the situation. The extra letters made it easy and likely. Okay. Well, we only have a couple more features to fill in. Any of you want to throw out eye color or anything that's unique? Is she heterochromatic? Does she have two different colored eyes? Does she have like really dark green eyes, sparkling blue eyes, more of an exotic orange or violet? And then we gotta fill in her skin and her hair. Yeah, you know what, Delcorin? I think that that Delcorin does it has a nice family name. Del could be of or from. So whatever Corin would translate to. So she could be Lairissia of Corin, and whatever Corin is. Well, I understand why you'd be biased since that's your username, but I think it works as a family name. Yeah, and it looks like Bobo agrees. Okay, so throw something out, anything. What do we got for eyes, skin, and hair? And then we're gonna button her up, and we'll be finished with another character. Blue, blue eyes, blue hair, blue skin. Well, while you're pondering that, I think I'm going to fill in one here. If she's going to be going around with nobles, yes, things like disguise kits are something that she can end up being proficient in and using. So she can wear makeup or whatever, especially as part of deception. I think we're going to give her fair, freckled, and smooth. She is a wood elf after all. She's kind of a tomboy, used to being outside. We're gonna give her some freckles, and we're gonna make it just some nice smooth skin. Actually, you know what? Instead of fair, let's make it tan. She's got a nice. I guess we'll just call it freck. We're gonna give her some nice, a darker, like a richer skin tone. I mean, we're not talking drow where she's like midnight, like the absolute opposite of of maybe like a high elf or whatever. But we'll give her a nice tan. We'll give her some freckles, smooth skin, and okay. So Bobo likes blue eyes. She's not a Smurf. Delcorn is saying heterochromia. Okay. We'll go a blue eye and gray. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. In fact, that kind of adds another little storytelling bit. Was there something? Was it just a random mutation? Maybe her family. There's an interesting past, or her branch of the family had an interesting influence. So we'll go right as a dark blue, left gray. Why don't we do something like a silver eye? It's gray, but it's like it's a little shiny, and it might be good contrast versus the dark blue as well. Does that sound good? For left is blue, right is hazel with a little brown. Okay. Left is blue, right is hazel. That works too. Okay, last thing is her hair. Does she have long, curly locks, wavy? Does she keep it short because maybe she wears a lot of wigs? Do you see it as red or coppery? Do you see it as maybe like a beautiful dark brown or even like this rich black hair? Is it an exotic color for some reason? You know what? If she has heterochromatic eyes, maybe there's something about her hair too. Like some of these features are mixed in some way. Delcorin says someone else pointed out to me when I was a teen. I never noticed it before. Oh, okay. We'll switch it back to a dark blue and a silver. All right, last piece of info. We got to get her hair done. Unless you meant silver for her hair. That's an option as well. Okay. Then Delcorin or Bobo, anyone else watching? What would you like her? How do you envision this young noble elf's hair to look like? And again, we can think practically. Maybe she either shaves her head or keeps it short so she can wear wigs, or she just likes that kind of spunky, like pixie cut or a little bit spiky or a soldier's cut. Maybe she has a medium just down to her shoulders of a different color. It's wavy, it's curly, it's flat or straight, or we could give her a natural proclivity towards the anime spiky hair if you really want to. This is our world we're creating. Well, the silver's light, Delcorin, so we can change this to a light blue instead. It would really, Actually, I think we can... There we go. That would pop if her skin is a darker tan. If you like the concept of silver, but that sounds a little too generic, while we do have her as being a younger elf, we can always go for that interesting. It's called salt and pepper. Now, normally in us mere mortal human beings, you'd find that in someone who has dark hair but is older, and so it's sort of an intermix of like streaks of black and white. Oh, hi Tapwater. Thank you for joining us. But we could give her maybe that's part of the heterochromatic part of her eyes is she has this mix of streaks of silver and black hair, so she has salt and pepper hair. For a rogue, I'm thinking she keep her hair short. I'm trying to think of what hair color. Okay, yeah, there are practical reasons too. Soldiers, rogues, you don't want it catching on a nail when you're trying to run out a door. You don't want someone to be able to go, oh, hey, and grab you and pull you back by your hair. Or, if they're holding you hostage because they can get a good handful and expose your throat. Something along those lines. Tapwater, if you're joining us here on the back end of a character we're creating, we have a rogue elf. She's a little on the young side. At 81 years old, I should say. And we're trying to figure out what would be a good hair color for her. We're sort of doing the incidental stuff. We can go over the story and everything about her in a little bit. And then after she's done, I will propose it to you all in the audience if you would want to create another character, a random character from the start, or if you all have a character or story idea that you want to flesh out and that we can just open up a document and we can try doing background stories and thought experiments, stuff like that. All right, so Delcorin says that could work, so we'll go short, salt and pepper. There we go. If any of you go to RP forums at all, like TG on 4chan, or if you're in various subreddits about RP, these exercises are good to either find character art or request character art too. All right, so here we have, after a little over an hour of some random number generation, talking it through, getting a feel for her character and her backstory, we have Lairissia Delcorin. She is a child prodigy thief at 17. She must have been through some stuff, and she has these personality traits, and she's really, she's really into it. Yeah, I worked as an EMT for 7 years, and I kept my hair short so it looked professional, and also couldn't be. Yeah. Well, number one, thank you for being an EMT. Fortunately, I've never personally needed one, but I've been in situations, life or death, that they were crucial. I own a game store where I live in Ohio, and I have a wide variety of people who come in, and I've heard stories. I have some veterans who are part of that, and while they're a medic, which is a military EMT, I've heard of the things that you all see and do, and in some contexts it's funny, but or if you're telling a serious story and you tell someone, look, I can't sew hamburger back into a person, like it really puts a dimension on the world, and it kind of makes you think about things a little bit more. Oh, my last bit here is our armor class plus... Okay, so that's going to be 16. There we go. Boom. We've done it. I'll make sure to post on my channel, too, when I get a Dropbox or a bin. And the other characters we've created, I'll plop them in there so you can take them out, you can modify them, fidget with them, do whatever you want. Okay. So, what I'm going to do... guys and or girls here, I'm going to take a quick break to wet my throat. I'm going to get a drink, so I'm going to go back to just sort of like a placeholder slide. Give me about 5 minutes to take care of necessities, and I'll be back. In the meantime, if you have... the humorous stuff, I'm sure you have tons of stories that you could tell as well. And you know what? Part of this channel is just that. The things that we experience in real life, we can translate over to D&D, or I play Final Fantasy XIV as well. I apply some of my personality traits to my character there. So the more real-life experience you have, the more you can interact in a roleplay experience of any kind. But anyway, I'm going to take off. Think in the meantime, do you all want to see another random character generated out of nothing? Or Delcorin, you said you have a character that you'd like some advice on. You could throw that out there. Maybe the rest of the audience and you and I we can sit down and noodle over him or her. We can just do plot building if any of you are thinking about running a game. We'll be open. I'm good for another hour and a half if you are, and we'll proceed from there. All right, so just give me about 5 minutes, and I'll be right back.